Up next, this presenter would like you all to know that he is indeed fireproof. He just has not gotten around to testing that theory yet. His guilty pleasure is to lick the tongue depressors at the doctor's office. So, if you have an appointment after Reid, you might consider bringing your own.
Let's welcome Reid with Crafting Creative Futures.
I'm disappointed. That was really funny. Craft. Arts and crafts. Running with scissors. This was my thought process when I first thought of the term craft. So you can imagine I had to backtrack a little bit. But when I reapproached the concept, I thought with craft comes creativity. And with creativity comes anything and everything mankind has to offer. But when I say anything and everything, I do literally mean anything and everything. Although we know what creativity is, are we able to state that we can explain what creativity is? Eric Jerome Dickey, a renowned American author, quotes, "We cannot explain creativity. It's like asking a bird, how do you fly? You just do." We cannot explain how our minds function, but we would cease to exist if we did not know how to use them. And we can all agree that we use our minds in everything we do. School, sports, relationships, occupations, everything requires a train of thought. And creativity is the engineer. Edward de Bono, otherwise known as Edward Charles Francis Publius de Bono, or as I like to refer to him as Eddie Bones, is a Maltese physician, a psychologist, a philosopher, an inventor, an author, and a consultant. Now, gentlemen in the crowd, I know what you're thinking. Where was this guy when I needed a best man? I mention him because this is the man that originated the term lateral thinking. Or in other words, this obviously very qualified man popularized thinking outside of the box. Edward de Bono, or Eddie Bones, once quoted, "Creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a new way." And this makes me think that life is like a highway. You see what I did there? But life is like a highway, and creativity is all the twists and turns that lead us away from normality but still bring us to our end goal. And I think we can all agree that a drive through the Rocky Mountains will be much more captivating than a drive through a tunnel. The best memory I have of creativity in action is a few months ago when I was hanging out with my hockey team at one of my teammates' houses. And we weren't doing much, just playing some NHL, joking around, just doing guy stuff. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see one of my teammates, Brennan. He's scanning the room, left, right, up, down, vertically, what have you not. And the room goes quiet, and he stops. He opens his mouth, and he says, "How many fire hydrants do you think we would fit in this room?" And just because of that little spark of creativity, a discussion was ignited. And over the course of the next 15 minutes, half the hockey team was involved in a discussion of possibly the most obscure topic you could think of. They pulled out the tape measure and came to the conclusion of 57 fire hydrants. And to this day, I still disagree. But it's creative actions like this that make the world a more interesting place to live in. The use of unorthodox methods to solve problems is what motivates humanity to push forward. Humanity advances through inventions, ideas, and creative actions. And the beauty of creativity is it doesn't always have to lead to monumental ideas either. It can lead from anything, from the construction of the Roman Colosseum to playing golf with a hockey stick because you snapped your club over your knee in frustration. Keep in mind, I never said these ideas were always 100% effective. Hypothetically, let's imagine my fellow speakers were on stage with me right here, right now, and we're all given this brain teaser on a sheet of paper. Now, the object of this brain teaser is to connect all 9 dots using 4 or less straight lines without having your pen leave the paper. It sounds easy, but it's surprisingly difficult. Now, I can only imagine that the second we began, chaos would ensue. Grace and Brianna would be off in the corner, and Grace would be talking, "Okay, Brianna, maybe if we just come at this brain teaser with a positive state of mind, just keep smiling," and Brianna would cut her off and go, whoa. Brain teaser? Nah, I'm the expert here. And this is a puzzle. Meanwhile, Rampton would be middle stage, and his mind would be working on overdrive, and he'd be going, "All right, Rampton, come on, think. All right, there's 9 dots, and the 9 dots make a square, and a square can make a box, and Xbox. And finally, Katie would be up front and center trying to get everybody's attention going. Guys. Maybe if we just learned from each other, teach each other a thing or two, the answer would present itself. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't eventually come to the answer because they are very intelligent people. But if they would literally and figuratively think outside of the box, the answer would present itself. The solution presented here is the most popularized solution when it comes to this brain teaser because it utilizes all 4 lines to connect all 9 dots. And it's obviously correct because the pen does not leave the paper. But if the key was to think outside of the box, then why stop here? Why not go further and maybe limit the lines that you use? Challenge yourself a little bit. The solution presented here connects all 9 dots using only 3 lines. And it's obviously correct because the pen does not leave the paper. But maybe the box we're supposed to think outside of is more than just the dots. Maybe it's the paper. Maybe there's a way to connect all 9 dots using just 1 line. Sounds impossible? Don't kid yourself. The answer presented here connects all 9 dots using just 1 singular line. But obviously, this line is so astronomically long that it wraps around the globe twice, and no sane human being is going to walk over 50,000 miles dragging a Sharpie between their legs just to test this theory. Who has the time? Perhaps the lesson to learn from the 9-dot puzzle is not to think outside of the box, but really when it gets down to the nitty-gritty and when creativity is at its highest, that there is no box. There is no limit to what you can or can't think of. And this hunger for critical thinking is what motivates me to attend university to become an engineer. This way I can use my unconventional problem-solving skills within my academics and always be forced to think outside of the box. I'll be able to ask questions, and from those questions may not always have solutions, but they will lead to further questioning. In other words, you cannot use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. I believe this quote by Maya Angelou, a civil rights activist and renowned American poet, perfectly summarizes that creativity is indeed endless, and in order to kill creativity, humanity would have to become extinct. But as long as we are still on this earth, ideas will still be made, experiments will still be performed, and solutions will still be discovered. And you cannot have this without creativity as the foundation of everything that ever was, ever is, or ever will be. To summarize, creativity is the conception of ideas, and craft is the way to bring those ideas to life. Now, to leave you with the words of Porky Pig,
That's all, folks.